the safety of the people, I think the American government has the right to do whatever.
There's laws in place, they need to be enforced.
Every year, my insurance payments, my premiums go up.
Something's got to be done because there's a lot of people running around without health care.
Obviously, there's a lot of debate as to whether illegal aliens are a positive influence on this economy.
It's hard for us to afford everything the way it is, and then for us to have all kinds of other people to support.
But we are a country of the free, and so I think we have to be very open-minded.
I just think proper education, learning the right things.
When I look on television and I see 3 separate shooting incidents,
I think they need to get tough with it.
Straighten out the politicians.
Keep to their word, and to be honest, I think that's important.
They make a lot of decisions which sort of impact my life, impact the children's lives.
I think it's an obligation to vote. I think we all need to do that.
Welcome everyone, I'm Tom Overlake. KSMQ in partnership with KTTC is pleased to present to you Election 2006, a series of conversations designed to aid you in voting in November. Our coverage represents a sampling of key races from throughout this region, and it is KSMQ's plan to continue to build upon this important service by providing even more opportunities to get to know and to understand the issues at hand, and of course the people who represent you in Washington, St. Paul, your region, and your hometown. We are joined today by Mr. Randy Erdmann and Mr. Rex Stotts, both of whom are vying to become Albert Lea's next mayor. I'll be asking questions compiled by our internal election team, and most importantly, questions submitted by you, the voters. Neither of the candidates has been provided with these questions beforehand, so let's move right now into the issues. And we'll begin with Randy. What have you done in the past in the community to benefit the city of Albert Lea in a leadership role?
Well, first of all, I became involved in city politics about 5 years ago. I was head of a group called Destination Albert Lea. I was their president, and we brought the local option sales tax to the council to gain approval for lake cleanup projects. During that time, the city council, and along with the watershed board and cooperation with the county and state officials, we were able to gain permission to bring that back to the citizens, and it gained an approval rating last year in a special election of 81%.
Rick, same question to you, leadership roles.
I've been involved in the Moose Lodge in Albert Lea. I've been on various positions on the board. I was the governor of the Moose Lodge. I belong to the American Legion. I was involved with youth hockey, the youth baseball program, and have done some volunteer work for our local church.
Okay, so why do you want to become a mayor?
Well, for me it was all in the timing. I'd thought about it before, and I hadn't had the time to devote to it that I wanted to, and so at this period in my life, I'm going to possibly fully retire. I'm semi-retired now. I'd be able to devote full time to the job of being mayor.
This leadership role. How about you, Randy? Why do you want to become mayor of Albert Lea? You're already on the city council.
Well, this is the 4th year of my council term, my first council term, and we have successfully brought a lot of projects to fruition, but we have a lot more things to do, and I feel that it's imperative that we have someone from the council with the council experience to move these projects forward.
Speaking of projects, Albert Lea has been firm with a couple of companies about the demands moving into the city, for example, Walgreens and Flying J, just to name a few. What do you think of how the city handled these particular negotiations, and what should be the driving forces behind any concessions given to any business? And Rex, we'll begin with you on this one.
I think that we have to look at the demands. We have to take a real careful look at the demands to see if it's something that we can deal with ourselves. I don't believe we can give the farm away, so to speak. But on the other hand, I think we need to make some concessions to these companies that want to move into Albert Lea in order to make it an attractive place for them to locate.
How far do you go when you make those concessions, though? How far should the city go?
Well, again, we can't give everything away naturally. We have to but there's the tax increment, or the TIF districts. There is the Job Z program, and these are good programs that we can offer to these companies. But I think that there's a limit to what we can do also.
Not in particular, I'm not going to say these two companies, Walgreens and Flying J, but some smaller cities are concerned about big companies coming in and kind of bowling their way into the city and making demands on the city. So, Randy, I want you to address this issue as well.
Okay, first of all, we can talk about I can use the Walgreens for a little example on the tax increment financing. The problem there was, should we be using tax increment financing for retail development? And that was kind of the initial question. But a lot of times, the tax increment financing, you have to look at the end result. And the problem there was a sensitive site on the lake, and some people really didn't want retail to be there. Now, some of that housing in that area needed some help. It was a little substandard, and the Wendy's was kind of outdated. There's a couple of old gasoline stations there, so we had some environmental issues there. Walgreens did find out that there was a little more there with the environmental cleanup, and we are trying to clean up the lakes and the water system, and so there was some controversy about this. As far as big companies, if you don't work with them, the community down the highway does. And Flying J had some issues too with an exit, and we were able to work that out with all parties to a satisfactory agreement.
To find some kind of compromise.
Yes.
Let's talk about farmland. Big fire there several years ago. Really no changes that I've seen. Let's get an update and your vision for that site, Randy.
Okay, first of all, I watched the farmland fire from the swimming pool. And that's what got me involved in local government. When I was elected, the old plant was still standing, burnt out shell. We were successfully able to grab onto some of the insurance proceeds to demolish that plant. It was a $3 million project to demolish the plant. There was some environmental issues and environmental studies that we had to complete. We gave Mayo Health Systems some assistance, the Albert Lea Medical Center on some assistance and some fill from the site. We have completed the cleanup projects on there, and I intend to make this a focal point of my term, if elected mayor, on what we're going to do to redevelop that site.
What are your thoughts?
I would like to see it in some form of a family destination, more of something on the order of the Cabela's site in Owatonna, maybe make it into a Bass Pro or some kind of convention center, hotel, tourist attraction with a family destination.
Have there been any big companies interested, calling you on the phone saying, yeah, we want to take on this site?
No, but I want to prepare our budget so we can aggressively work on this. And the comprehensive plan, we have budgeted money in 2007 for a new comprehensive plan, and I want this to be the focal point of that comprehensive plan.
Okay. Rex, farmland site, what do we do with that area?
I think Randy and I are pretty much in agreement on that. I'd like to see it as a tourism type family destination site also. I think we have to move very carefully as to what we put in there so that we don't in a few years down the road say, whoops, we made a mistake here, we wished we hadn't done that. So I think we have to move very carefully on this and be sure that what we locate in there is really beneficial to Albert Lea.
Okay. Randy, in this portion of our conversation, I want to give you a chance, an opportunity to ask your opponent a question.
Okay. Rex, you've indicated that we need to be more proactive and continue the downtown redevelopment. How would you, what are a couple of things that you would do to bring some of those projects downtown to fruition, or do you have any ideas on how downtown redevelopment?
Yes, I've thought about that quite a bit. I think that we need to work with the local owners, business owners, or the building owners to see what we can do to assist them in renovating the buildings downtown to make it an attractive area for people to want to come to and shop in. Where the funding might come from, at this point, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that a little closer, but I really think we need to sit down with these owners and try and work out some sort of an assistance plan and then get a timetable set so that we do get these projects completed.
Do you get a sense from local business owners in Albert Lea that they are willing to evolve, so to speak, with the times? Are they willing to talk?
Oh, I think they are, yes. I believe they're willing to sit down and talk about this. And that's another reason I think we have to have kind of an open door policy at city government in order for these people to feel comfortable in doing that.
Okay, same opportunity. A question for Randy.
The one thing that's been on my mind, and you may have an idea on this, is once we have traffic stopped for food or gasoline on the east side of town, what are we going to do to bring them into Albert Lea? What is going to be the attraction there?
Attraction. How do you get people into the community?
Jeez. First of all, we've already addressed some of those situations, and what we've done is we've implemented a lighting project that's going to be completed this year. We're also going to work on signage and entrances to our city, and we really have focused on what it's going to take to get people into the area. We've brought in the Minnesota design team. They've given us some ideas. We need to do some more landscaping. We need to make that entrance attractive and to get people into town with some better signage.
I wanted to ask you, in kind of as a follow-up, how are you working with other cities to come together to compete against some of the stronger, or I should say bigger cities, let's say the Twin Cities and some of these other bigger communities who really kind of leverage their resources? Talk about building bridges with other communities to strengthen yourself as a region. Randy, will you address that?
Yes. I think it's imperative that we work more with Austin on regional issues. We share the same senator. I have worked with Austin on consulting them on the sales tax issue. They have a sales tax initiative here this fall for their flood control program. I helped advise them on several fronts. I've worked with Representative Poppy on ours. I've worked closely with Senator Sparks on different areas, and I think we have common problems, and if you go to the legislature with regional projects, you gain more favor. The flooding problem is a problem in our area. It continues to be a problem and needs to be addressed. And I think that we need to work closely with Austin. There's just a small strip of freeway between us, and the cities do depend on each other tremendously for other things. Clear Lake and Mason City, with the new Diamond Joe's Casino, we can work on that I-35 corridor to gain more attraction. And you know, Albert Lea, now you can see Albert Lea from Interstate 35. We have a new water tower recently put up. We also have some developments going on out there, and I think it's imperative that we do work with the other government bodies in the region, and I do know some of these individuals. The relationships are already in place.
Rex, what are some ideas that you have to continue to build and strengthen the bonds with other area cities?
Well, I pretty much agree with what Randy has just said. I also think that Austin, being about our closest neighbor and having similar problems that we do, we need to work closely with them. I think that if you go to the state legislature as a group rather than individually, you probably can accomplish more in that respect.
In the news lately, we've been talking about the cleanliness of the lakes, and I know, Randy, you touched on this. I'm curious, would you ever swim in that the Albert Lea Lake, or let your family swim there? And if not, what do we need to do to clean up the waters there?
I personally would not be afraid to swim in it right now, but the watershed district was created for that purpose alone, and we have entered into a joint agreement with them, and they do have a plan in place over the next 10 years to implement it so it can be swimmable for anyone.
Why did it take so long, though, to get this issue resolved, to get those waters cleaned up? Because this has been something that's been going on for a couple of years.
One of the biggest mistakes cities make is they continue to ignore existing assets, and I felt that one of the biggest assets that we do have is the lakes, and we're kind of the best kept secret in southern Minnesota. So this initiative for the sales tax actually brought the community together, and it was a joint project, and it did allow people to cross the aisle, shall we say, and work together towards a common goal. It is a major asset that we have, and we need to continue to work on it.
It's a beautiful asset as well. Rex, your thoughts on this issue? Would you swim? Of course, not today. Probably a little too chilly, but.
Yes, I would swim in it. I live on the lake, okay. And so it's something that I'm very interested in, and in the lake cleanup. I have worked personally with the DNR to do some shoreline work over at our home, and so I'm familiar with some of the requirements that they have, and you have to understand that we're dealing with the county, the DNR, the city. We got 3 different agencies. The Watershed Board, I think, is a wonderful idea, so that we get some common direction, and we have one group that we can use as a focal point to address the issues of cleaning up the lakes. And I think they're definitely an asset to Albert Lea. Hopefully we can get them to the point where they're certainly a tourist attraction for us, and I can vouch for the number of uses on the lake. In the summertime, it's very much used as a recreation area by recreational boaters. We have the Bayside Skiers, the ski club, that does a wonderful job in Albert Lea. We have a lot of fishermen, and so I think we really need to work to make these more attractive to the public.
Some would say, though, as a property owner on or near that lake, that you should be paying for the majority or a big chunk of, let's say, the cleanup costs. What are your thoughts on that? What do you say to people who say you should fit most of the bill?
Well, that might be true in some respect, but you have to remember that if we get the lakes cleaned up, and they do attract tourists into Albert Lea, that everybody in town is going to benefit by it. From the retail aspect, the tourism aspect, and so it's not just those people that live on the lake, but the whole town can benefit from that. And I think we have to look at the broader picture.
Okay, all right. Randy, the role of mayor in Albert Lea has been in an interim state for quite a while after some unfortunate controversies with that position. What will be necessary for the office of mayor in Albert Lea to move forward, to move beyond that controversy?
I think the mayor's role has to be positive. You have to put out the positive message that we are open for business. We do want development in our community. We have been successful in the Job Z program. We've created 500 jobs in the last 3 years. We have 4 new housing developments going on right now. Village Cooperative was successfully completed. We've done redevelopment of the Lee Center, lofts of Lee Center, and the Freeborn Bank building we're currently working on. And we want to become a destination city, and we want people to move to our community and move ahead.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Rex?
All throughout my campaign, one of the things I stressed is the changing role of the mayor. And I think that the role of the mayor is more than just part-time as it has been in the past. In the past, I think it's been viewed as kind of a figurehead, someone that conducts the city council meeting, goes to a few ribbon-cutting ceremonies and welcomes some people to Albert Lea. But I think that over a period of time, it has now grown to be a position that needs to be more than part-time. And the mayor has to attend any number of functions and try and promote Albert Lea, and who better than the mayor to be the head cheerleader?
We've been seeing in so many small communities throughout, all communities in the state of Minnesota, a change of face, so to speak, on cities and communities, becoming much more diverse. What would you do, Randy, to build bridges with other cultures in the city of Albert Lea?
I think it's very important that we embrace our diversity, and by doing that we could appoint other people to boards and commissions, a broader membership of our community to boards and commissions. And
Is
I think
that being done already?
It has not.
Okay.
It should be, and it will be if I am elected mayor. And I think that we need to bring those cultures in as stakeholders and get them involved in the community.
Rex, your thoughts?
I agree with Randy that we need to appoint some of these other cultures on different committees within Albert Lea, within city government. And I think it's very important to include everyone, all the citizens, and the functions of the city and the city council.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. What needs to be done for the city of Albert Lea to attract and retain young families to be an integral part of that community, Rex?
Well, I think that as we start to develop, we're going to put in a new industrial park. Hopefully we can find some interest in that industrial park to include some firms that will be open to the younger people to bring them back to Albert Lea. One of the things that I have thought about since we had the mayor's forum and before the primary was the fact that we don't do a lot with the youth. And I want
And why is that?
Well, I don't know. I think we get so busy and caught up in our own worlds that we tend to forget about the youth of the area. And so if I was elected mayor, one of the first things I would do is establish some kind of a blue ribbon youth commission or youth advisory group that would include about 6 young people on it, and meet with them probably 6 times a year, every couple of months, whether we met at City Hall, whether we meet at the high school, and start a dialogue between the youth to find out what they're interested in, what their concerns are, and how we should, how they think the city should deal with certain projects that come up.
What do you think, Randy? Are young people being represented enough in Albert Lea?
No, they're not.
Okay.
And another thing how you need to attract young professionals is you need to have things for them to do. We need to have cultural amenities. We need to use our civic theater more for different things. We need to rehab the downtown and make it so it's a destination point where there's activities, restaurants, dining, fine entertainment, things for people to do. Young professionals are looking for things to do, and we need to have shops, restaurants, and other things that they want. You know, the jobs come, but you need the retail also, so these people have places to spend their money and things to do. And the youth, we need to tell the youth that you are welcome here. You do have a stake in our community, and I think that we need to involve them in the new comprehensive plan and get their input also.
I want to talk about the smoking ban issue that we've been debating across the state. What is your position on a smoking ban in Albert Lea? And if it were to exist, should it be applied to all public areas, including public parks, for example? Randy.
Okay, first of all, that is a debated issue right now. The proper answer for that 10 years ago was you can't allow, government can't tell a business what to do. Okay, that's not an acceptable answer anymore. It's been proven that secondhand smoke is hazardous, and people don't like it, quite frankly. They don't like it. I'm not so sure that the city should get involved in moving this forward. We could. I think it's more important that...
But if you don't think the city should get involved, who takes the bull by the horn, so to speak?
Well, I think the state and maybe possibly the county, because I believe Olmsted County has the smoking ban, not the city of Rochester. The same with the Mankato area. Blue Earth County, not the city of Mankato.
Right. Rex, your thoughts on this?
I think that the individual business owners should be left up to them to determine whether they want to ban smoking in their particular businesses. Now, in a public city park, something like that, I think it's more of a trash issue than the smoke itself, although I wouldn't be opposed to banning it in city parks. But again, I think that the state should probably be the ones to make the move on whether or not it's banned.
There are many people, though, who enjoy smoking. It's their choice, it's their freedom, in their opinion. And should the city really, though, be getting involved, especially if it's like at a city park? There are some who would argue that point, Rex.
I think that one of the problems with the smoking issue is the fact that if you're of legal age, it is a legal thing to participate in. But and so to go tell somebody that they cannot smoke, now I can understand it in a hospital, a rest home, or health, an institution like that, but I'm reluctant to, when it's a legal thing to do, I'm reluctant to tell somebody what they can and cannot do. And that's why I've said before, I would like to see it left up to the individual business owners as far as whether they want to ban it or not. They'll have to suffer the consequences of that.
This will be an ongoing issue, I'm sure, for a little while, and we'll see what happens with that. Our time is up. I appreciate both of you joining me today, and the best of luck as this campaign kind of winds down. November 7th is Election Day, of course, so I appreciate you joining us today. Randall Erdmann and Rex Stotts. You know, voting, of course, is one of the key ways that you can stay active in the decision-making process in this country. So, of course, we encourage you to exercise that right and that privilege. As I mentioned, Election Day is November 7th, just a few days down the road. There's more great programming coming up on KSMQ, and for KSMQ and KTTC TV, I'm Tom Overlake. So,